Congratulations. Congratulations, Inter.
Okay, ready na? Good morning, everybody. Let us all welcome again sa ating ugnayan sa batasan with our guest from 1st District of Surigao del Sur, now Deputy Speaker Pichay, and Congressman Willie Castelo, the 2nd District of Quezon City, Chairman ng Committee on Metro Manila Development Authority. Sa mga kasama natin, pagka may mga questions po kayo, kindly raise your hands na lang po, kasi wala tayong mic ngayon. So I'm sure maririnig naman natin yung sasabihin ng ating mga resource person. Siguro, first question kay Kong Butcher. Being the new Deputy Speaker, ano po ba yung mga priority measures ng administrations ngayon under the leadership of Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo?
Well, I think we will have to tackle more of mga bills concerning economic activities, no? The reason why we are in recess right now is to give a chance to the President to be able to address the inflation, which is already 5.7, medyo mataas na. So we have to address that, and the reason that why we have a recess is because the President can issue executive orders reducing the tariff of the prime commodities, like for example rice, fish, so that when it reaches the market, medyo mababa na yung presyo. But I don't know kung anong action ng executive branch, whether they want to come out with an EO reducing the tariff, or they have some other ideas. But definitely this is, though we are in recess, but we are actually trying to help the executive branch of government address the inflation problem. And of course, one of the bills that we are trying to rush is the rice tariffication. Para nang sa ganon, medyo everybody will be allowed to import rice, and when there is competition, definitely the price of rice will go down. And siguro during the budget hearing, narinig nyo naman ang sinasabi ni Joke, no, it's cheaper to import. Though I do not agree by saying that food security is more important than food sufficiency. I go for both, food sufficiency and food security. And ako'y naniniwala naman na if we can irrigate all our lands, we'll be able to be competitive with Vietnam. Ang Vietnam kasi 6 million hectares ang irrigated land. And because of that, so they have ample supply of rice. And not only that, the Vietnamese are not rice-eating people. They go for vegetables rather than rice. So I think we have to educate our people that excessive rice can cause also diabetes. So that is one of the things that we are trying to do here in Congress. At marami pa tayong mga ginagawang bills that are certified by the President. Like, for example, the creation of a new department, the Department of Disaster and Resiliency Department. So ito ay niraras din natin. And so many other certified bills by the President.
Any follow-up questions?
Sir, kung si Speaker Jimmy ho ba ay nag-advise kay Presidente, pinakinggan ho kaya regarding inflation?
Well, during the budget hearing, the first day, we talked to the economic managers, and I'm sure that the economic managers related to the President, and I think they're going to address more or less the problem of inflation. And no less than the President said, well, at least the Speaker is an economist. I'm sure that he can help this government.
Parang may conflict po kasi yung economic managers sa yung House right now.
Wala namang conflict eh. Ano bang conflict ang... Huh? Well, budget is not part of the economic manager, but definitely there is no conflict dahil the executive branch can only submit a budget, but as far as whether it's cash or obligation is concerned, power of the purse is with Congress. So hindi naman kailangan makipag-away sa kanila. It's either we accept it or we reject it. And probably Congress is even more friendlier than the cabinet because we want to keep the promise of the President as far as building more hospitals is concerned, for his health program, his commitment to build, and his commitment to education. So, the proposal is actually to reduce the budget of this basic department, Department of Health, Department of Education, Public Works and Highways, and all other departments. So I think we are very friendly to the executive branch, because we want to keep the promise of the president. Rather, I think we're even friendlier than the cabinet, because the cabinet is reducing the program. If you reduce the program, then you're not meeting the commitment of the president. So I don't think there is conflict.
Congressman Castelo, sir, one of the problems sa atin is the traffic. I'm sure the traffic is also an hindrance para sa economic development. Nag-devise po kayo ng HOP, yung MMDA natin. But unfortunately, mukhang suspended din ito. Ano ho bang effect sa inyo? Ano ho bang take nyo doon sa suspension?
Well, in the many meetings that we had with the traffic enforcers and traffic agencies handling the traffic in Metro Manila, now one that was the subject of a very controversial decision now is the HOB. However, it met with a lot of resistance, but it is not yet totally gone. I think it is not totally in the back burner. They just suspended it, and I think because of the holiday season and some pressure from the Senate, it was now, I think, suspended. So I was informed that the MMDA will consult with the MMC, the Metro Manila Council, because ito naman ang final arbiter and policy making ng Metro Manila ng MMDA. It is the MMDA who just implements the decision of the Metro Manila Council. So magmi-meet yata sila sa Thursday. Well, let me comment on the HOB. I think the intention was correct, but the marketing was wrong, because they tried to sell it that not the MMDA tried to sell it that the commuter should not pass at EDSA. Mali ho yun. The marketing should be, the packaging and the marketing should be, we should entice a lot of commuters, our friends, to na sumakay sa common carrier at pwede na ho dumaan dyan sa EDSA. In other words, let us invite a friend so that it would no longer be necessary that they now use another vehicle. So, kung yun po ang packaging, kung yun po ang marketing, I am sure that it would meet less of a resistance. So, I've talked with them if they could calibrate the marketing strategy. So, instead of not campaigning for not using EDSA, bakit hindi na lang po i-kampanya na to win a friend, no, and join our colleagues, so that if we will be going to Makati, we invite them. Consequently, if we invite them to join in riding going a certain location, you would no longer be necessary in getting another passenger. So yun, kasi ang nangyari po ngayon, although the volume of vehicles in EDSA decreased, it went naman in other places like C5 and other peripheral roads. So the objective was not really met. Pero we will try to recalibrate the campaign. So campaign mo dito is the real intention is no HOV. Baka pwedeng carpooling na. Carpooling so that we would entice the general public not to bring their cars but to entice their friends to join them in going to certain places. In that way, they will be able to use EDSA.
But sir, hindi pa rin pwede kapag mag-isa ka lang?
Well, as of now, hindi pa pwede. Pero
sa proposal niyo po, hindi pa rin pwede kapag mag-isa lang?
Yes. Oo, yes.
So
Hindi pa pwede.
encourage carpooling.
Yeah, because if you carpool them, yun, hindi mo na kailangan dali ng kotse. Kasi wala po talagang campaign na not to do it. Ang campaign lang is not to pass EDSA. So the real intention was not met because of a difference in marketing that proposal.
May suggestion lang ako.
Okay.
Tama ka, marketing. So why don't we do it the positive way? In the United States, may tinatawag express lane. So if you are 3 or more, then you can pass through the express lane. So gawin natin dito 4. then you have an express lane. Di bale, yung mag-isa, di matatraffic kayo doon. But in the US, meron talagang tinatawag na express lane. So, 3 passengers can pass through the express lane. 3 people riding in ano. So that's the positive way of looking at it. But it's still in line with your idea na carpooling.
Well, we took that into consideration. However, the traffic policymakers brought the issue that EDSA daw is not as wide as international streets. No, I think it is just 5 to 6 lane. So there will be a compromise also as to the lane assignment, because we have also a lane for the service road. We have a lane for the motorcycle, and if we allocate another lane for this carpooling, it might be compromise. So, but since this is just all in the stage of trial and error, perhaps that we could also experiment that. And another intervention that I would want to manifest to the general public is that the P2P, no? Alam naman po natin na yung lifting ng color coding sa mga public transport, kailangan ma-lift na ho yan. Sa public transport lang, ha? Because as of now, the LTFRB is now enticing bus owners to put up P2P, point-to-point buses. In other words, walang hintuan yan from Fairview to Makati. However, it would require a lot of capital expenditure on the bus owners, no? So bakit hindi na lamang po, no, i-lift natin ang color coding, ang numbering ng mga buses, so that itong mga bus owners already would not introduce a lot of capital because they're already bleeding. So I think that is one of the viable alternatives, no, to give yung mga stranded commuters. Second is the BRT. So it is very unfortunate that the DOTR issued a letter addressed to the NEDA calling for the scrapping of the BRT. However, it is unfortunate because Congress fought so hard for the inclusion of its budget there. I think 1.2 billion Congress allocated, because also of the several public hearings that my committee and that of Cesar Sarmiento conducted. So we fought for the inclusion of its budget. NEDA has already approved for its inclusion. It has undergone a lot of diligence. However, to our surprise, we got an information that it will be shelved. I am campaigning for BRT because it is cheaper, unlike rails, and it is faster, no? And kung hindi pa sufisyente, kung traffic pa rin, because of BRT, that's the time we could resort to rail system, because that could coexist. Yung rails, at the same time BRT could coexist. So, people has been suffering. No, the budget is already there. Why do we have to stall it? Ba't hindi natin gawin yan? Dahil yung BRT, konting infrastructure lang. Yung laning lang ho ito, at saka yung pagpapagawa ng mga terminals. That's it. Then you could roll it out already. Unlike rail, it would take a lot of years. Baka tapos na ho yung administrasyon, wala pa ho tayong mga flagship projects dito po sa Metro Manila.
Sandro, please.
Sir, pero would you recommend, sir, na para mapabawas like yung mga Uber na dumaan yung NBS?
Sa along EDSA?
Along EDSA. Total, pwede naman sila umikot.
Well, the problem is that if we would rely to that, no, yung C5 would also be blown out. So magiging traffic. So we're not solving the problem. What is the problem? What the problem should be taken not only of traffic management, but we should also consider the mobility of the public. Otherwise, we would not be successful. Yes, if we might be able to unclog EDSA, but if C5 and other peripheral roads are congested, then we will not achieve a purpose. So what is important is we create a mass transportation system. The subway is okay, pero matagal po ito. Maraming low-lying fruits that we could easily undergo to alleviate the suffering of the people, because we are now losing about 2 billion of loss opportunity of funds in terms of loss opportunities daily. So BRT, and third, so let me just enumerate. First is the lifting of the color coding ng mga buses. Second is to make a go for the BRT. After all, 2 years lang ito, pwede nang i-roll out. Third is yung motorcycle taxis. Yung motorcycle taxis, first controversial ito, pero on hindsight and looking for the experience sa Indonesia, sa Bangkok, this has been very popular because motorcycle are number one, it is more agile, smaller, cheaper. So it could provide an alternative, creative way of ferrying out stranded commuters na hindi po nakakapagdagdag ng traffic. Secondly, it could also provide economic livelihood sa mga motorcycle owners, because as of now we have 4 million of motorcycles right now na pwede natin i-utilize to ferry yung mga stranded commuters, because we have not yet reached the maximum potential of MRT 3. Kanina lang, may maraming glitches. The P2P has not yet been successful. The TNVS, tsaka yung mga Uber and Grab, limited lamang po ang approval ng mga prangkisa nito. So let us think of a creative way to unclog the streets of Metro Manila and try to ferry ito pong mga employees and students sa kanilang mga paaralan at sa kanilang mga trabaho. And motorcycle taxis is one of the ways, is one of the things that we could undergo immediately.
Sir, yung information from
Sige, after you sit.
sa DPWH at saka MMDA tungkol sa flood program, implementation nila. Given the
Yes, we are so dissatisfied, no? We are so surprised. It is very unfortunate. We are so disappointed because the funds that Congress allocated, I think 25 billion aside from the MMDA funds that they have allocated per congressional district, most of which has not yet been undertaken, some of which has been stalled. Most of them they have not been bidded out despite our pleading that before the onset of the rainy season, kailangan ma-roll out na ho ito. So we are trying to find out dun po sa MMDA, DPWH, and asking the help of COA kung bakit NDBM, kung bakit na-stall ang release or implementation nito. That is why we are sa Committee on Metro Manila Development, we are calling for a flood summit to end the suffering. It might be a thankless job, it might be a difficult job. However, we will not stop on trying to alleviate the suffering of the public.
Sir, yung flood control projects po, magkano na fees po install?
Well, there is 25 billion na sa flood program from the DPWH, aside from the MMDA, which I think would run about 1.2 billion that is distributed among the 33 congressional districts in Metro Manila.
Ilang projects po yun?
I'm not quite sure, pero about 60% of it has not yet been rolled out for the reason we still do not know. So we are calling for a flood summit. We will be inviting the DNR, no, para turuan po yung mga kabataan paano magtapon ng basura, because we would like to think of it not just a volume of water thing, but also contributory to the flooding is the unregulated disposal of garbage. So the DepEd will also come in there so that they will have also a massive campaign. The barangays with all, the DILG will also be there to mobilize also the barangay, and the MMDA, definitely the DPWH should also be there.
When do you plan to?
We already have a date. It's November 23. Well, Project NOAA is just a mere advance information on the extent of the damage that would happen in case there will be typhoon. That would be useful in identifying.
For many years during the Aquino administration, itong gitna ho ng Marikina, binungkal ho yan because of Project NOAA. Naging effective ho ba?
Well, ang intervention na ginagawa po natin, no, sa project no has been useful in identifying the flood-prone areas na kung bumagsak ang ulan, aalarma na ang mga delicate and critical areas. So the intervention now of the DPWH are concentrated there. Well, unfortunately, yes, at the back of our residence in Vista Real, no, we inspected there because nandiyan po ang Marikina River. The critical level of I think 20 during the time of Ondoy and in Carding is almost the same, and yet yung magnitude ng baha ng Ondoy is so great. It cannot compare dun po sa experience po namin 2 weeks ago. Well, what is our conclusion? It was effective. But however, it has not yet been completed. So it is a multi-year. I think it would take 6 years. So ang funding po nito ay allocated every year. So we are hopeful that this JICA funded project with the support of the DPWH, we are hopeful pag matapos po ito, this would end now the flooding, the overflowing of Marikina River that caused floods dito po sa Quezon City and Marikina.
I think there should really be a comprehensive program as far as flood control is concerned. There is already a geohazard map identifying the lower area. Now, during the Ondoy, at that time, it was also, at the same time, there was high tide. So yung tubig from the river couldn't go out to the sea because there was high tide. So it really caused a lot of flooding. These things have to be considered, no? So there should really be a comprehensive flood control program for Metro Manila. Kasi yung mga district po, tabi-tabi lang naman yan. There should really be a comprehensive. Ngayon, talagang pag malakas yung ulan and then at the same time sasabayan ng high tide, it will definitely cause a lot of flooding. So in this particular, what happened last week is wala hong high tide. So medyo mabilis nag-subside po yung tubig. But I do not see a comprehensive flood control program for Metro Manila, the whole of Metro Manila. Kailangan meron talaga. Para nang sa ganon ay malalaman natin kung anong dapat gagawin. Yung mga pumping station, that's nothing when there is high tide. When there is high tide, kahit ipapump mo, it will just level the same. So, there should really be a scientific, hindi po pwedeng public works and highways lang. So, it has to be in conjunction with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DOST. So, nang sa ganun ay talagang malalaman nila kung ano ang dapat gagawin. Talagang yung Espanya, time immemorial, pag malakas ang ulan, talagang lubog yan sa tubig. Why? Because talagang mababa. Ang nabutas, kahit walang ulan, lumulubog sa tubig. Why? Because mababa talaga yung nabutas, no? Siguro we have to learn from the Netherlands. Ang Netherlands is a reclaimed land. Reclaimed yung land ng Netherlands. And yet, wala namang flooding doon. So, I think we have to consult expertise from the Netherlands para malalaman po natin na talagang kung ano ang dapat gagawin natin dito. Even Venice, they have now, because ang Venice lubog yan sa tubig, but they have a new plan. They are constructing something that will control the floods in Venice.
RG.
Sir, I'll just ask about politics. What is the plan of Lakas? Kasi marami ng parties ang pumirma with phone. So, what is the plan?
Well, ang Lakas naman, it's an old party, so we'll try to recruit more members, both from the national and local officials. And we'll see what's going to happen.
Are you actually going to sign your own agreement with Hugpong?
Ang Hugpong kasi is a regional party, no? And I think a lot of parties have already signed with Hugpong, like the Nationalista Party, except PDP, wala pa yung PDP, MPC, NP. NUP, I'm not sure yet. So it's a regional party.
Lakas pa.
No.
Pwede kayo pipirma?
No, if we have a chance, why not? But right now,
Are
we're still
you
trying to.
actively, pursuing that direction?
Yeah, we will pursue that direction, definitely.
Is Lakas being invited?
I think everybody's invited.
How-
Probably what you saw last week, was it last week? You saw the senatorial candidates taking off. It was a multi-party oath-taking.
Sir, parang may efforts po ba to have GMA go back to Lakas and give her back the chairmanship or the presidency of Lakas?
Well, if the Constitution allows dual citizenship, I think she's a dual citizen.
Pero sir, nililigawan niyo po ba para bumalik po ulit sa Lakas?
No need to, I'm sure that her heart is with Lakas.
Is she going to transfer back to Lakas, sir?
I'm not sure yet, I haven't asked her.
Sir, kung in the PDP laban, they're coming out na ng mga possible senatorial lineup nila. Ang Lakas ba is also planning to put up?
We're planning to put up a few candidates, maybe two or three, and maybe adopt some candidates.
Do you have the names to be mentioned?
They haven't decided yet, but you know, like former Congressman Martin Romualdez. Yeah. We can even tap also Bong Revilla, because he can still run. He's qualified to run. So these are the two that I can think of.
How about you?
Me, I prefer to be in Congress, you know.
How about the
I mean-
speaker, sir? Speaker Arroyo po.
I have not talked to her about her plans. I'm sure that after her term in Congress, I'm sure that she's going to retire. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. We haven't talked.
Sir, ilan po members ng Lakas so far?
Dito sa House, dalawa kami ni Congresswoman Yeda Romualdez, but sa local marami pa rin. Mga mayors, governors, marami pa rin.
Sir?
I can't give you the right figure, but we still have a lot of mayors and governors.
Is it advisable for Arroyo to retire?
Considering that she is a workaholic, you cannot advise her to retire.
She will fail retirement.
Ano pwede niyang gawin?
Well, she can help this government as on an advisory level. But
Sir, anong take niyo doon sa statement ni Speaker Gloria na there's no more time for charter change?
there is no more time to convince the senators. Yes, that's true. Because charter change, we can really tackle it if the senators are willing. But if the senators are not willing, then there's definitely no time for charter change, even if it will be 5 years from now or 10 years from now. We have to have an open-minded Senate so that we can discuss. I'm calling on the senators to have an open mind, to stop thinking about themselves, but rather to think about what is good for the country. So kung tingin naman natin, the fact that the speaker said, okay, let's do it, voting separately. So kung ayaw talaga nyo, di walang mangyayari kasi voting separately yon. So bakit ayaw pa rin nila? Some people say, some senators would say, it's a mousetrap. Meaning to say, naniniwala sila na it's not voting separately. It is voting jointly. Kasi bakit sila matatakot pa rin? Pwede naman, ayaw namin ng ganitong provision. Eh di, kung ayaw nyo, di walang mangyayari dyan dahil voting separately. So the fact that they are not still willing, the speaker already said, okay, we will vote separately, and they are not still willing, that means that they are convinced that it is voting as one. The Constituent Assembly is voting as one.
What is your take on that? The same question.
Well, we will see on the what would unfold here. So we'll just ask and for the direction and the body language of the speaker here. Pero as of now, with respect to the manifestation of my colleague here, I think we should also, on the retirement issue of our president, I think we should maximize her talent and experience. And I am sure she will be feeling retirement. And as you all know, in Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew was so active even after retirement.
Mahathir went back.
So I think it would be good for the country if we would also utilize her wise judgment and experience.
Sir, what do you think would be the position that would most fit her qualifications, sir?
Well, as far as the PDP is concerned, I am reiterating my manifestation that she should have also a position in the structure of PDP that is commensurate to her position as speaker. I think it would be for the best interest of PDP. Huwag lang magseselos ang lakas.
Hindi naman, kasi yung puso niya sa amin.
Sir, ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung puso niya sa inyo pero nasa kanila siya?
She became president under that party, you have to remember. And she only became speaker under PDP. So which one is?
Sir, on the issue of pork barrel, kasi marami ng assurance from leadership of the House na pork free ang 2019 budget. But still, the Senator, especially Senator Lacson, hindi naniniwala.
Ano bang definition ng pork barrel? In the United States of America, ang pork barrel is when congressmen would make representations so that projects will be brought to their district. Not only projects, but program. And that is part of the job of the congressman to do it. In the Philippine setting, ang idea ng pork barrel is it's a lump sum fund. Okay? Lump sum fund. Pagkatapos, the executive branch, the congressman will now identify after the budget has been approved. So it's a lump sum fund after the budget has been approved, and then the congressman will actually write so many projects for their district commensurate to the pork barrel. It's not happening now. It's not happening. So what is happening now is we try to make representation for projects that would go to our district, and that is our mandate, because budgeting is part of legislation. In fact, a GA is a law. So it is part of our mandate. So that's why we represent our district, so we are the voice of the people. If we go to the province and in our district, like in Metro Manila, their concern is flood control, and we go to our province, the concern is bridges. How would the national the national office know? They wouldn't know what are the concerns. So that is what we bring here and make representations for our people to put in the budget. So now it is actually a line item. So you cannot call that a pork barrel, because it is not from a lump sum, and then after the budget has been approved, from the lump sum, you bring it back to the district. So there is no pork barrel as far as the 2019 budget is concerned and 2018 was concerned. Walang pork barrel po yon. Now, if there are certain senators who would say that pork laden yon, pwede bang pakiusapan natin, hanapin yon at nang makita naman namin. Because we do not see any pork barrel there.
Yes, the Supreme Court has already spoken. Meron na pong jurisprudence sa Supreme Court, and it is now part of the law of the land. We disallow pork barrel. No, we can no longer touch on the dip our hands on the budget if it's already approved by Congress. So I think there will be no pork barrel. So everything will be above board.
So, meaning to say, since it is a line item and the GA is a law, it's an act, General Appropriation Act. So there's nothing illegal there.
Any more? Any more questions?
May I just comment on a very pressing issue right now. It's about the state of our airports. I am sure everybody would be interested here. I think I would have to opine that heads will roll here. we cannot just be an international embarrassment in the face of the world. No, they should be the one running the airport should be accountable administratively and civilly, if not criminally. There will be an in-depth, down-to-earth, comprehensive investigation on this matter. So we will be avoiding a repetitious event that cause a lot of embarrassment to us. So offhand, I think there's based on my conversation with a lot of airport operators, NAIA, my friends there, parang there's a lack of foresight. Just imagine there is no contingency, there is no crane. We have to outsource the crane. So I think there is no emergency plan should this thing happen. So I think Congress as an oversight body should exert also its function so that we will be able to avoid repeating this project, this event. And if they need funds for the purchase of these things, I think they have to go to Congress, and we will be also we will be able to allocate funds for this purpose.
Sir, hindi kayo sino dapat magsipakin? Sino dapat sipakin?
Well, it would be premature, no? It would be premature in the absence of actual investigation. But my contention is,
Dapat may mag-resign.
well, supposed to be there should be. But
Alam mo, grabe ang traffic sa NAIA. We only have one runway. Other countries, they have 2 runways, 3 runways in an airport. So I think it's about time that we really transfer the international airport to Clark, because Clark has 2 runways. 2 runways. We have 2 runways here, but the other one is for domestic and very small. It cannot accommodate the international airlines. So with regards to walang equipment na probably you're right, no, wala tayong contingency. What if there will be an accident happening in the future? So dapat meron kang crane to be able to retrieve it within the next 6 hours, no? Talagang malaki ang problema natin. Kahit nga even traveling from the provinces to here, because I travel almost every month, all the flights are always delayed. Why? Nata-traffic din. So hindi lang ang traffic, hindi lang sa kalsada, kung hindi pati sa airport. But if we transfer the international airport to Clark, it's a big area, there are 2 runways, at pwede pa natin dagdagan na isang runway. If one runway is not usable, at least there are still 2 runways that you can use. In Manila, talagang if an accident happens like that, talagang isasara mo yan dahil iisa lang ang runway.
My take here, Ed, no? My take here. Well, it's a good suggestion that we also operate Clark vis-a-vis the NAIA. It has been happening also in Japan. We have this in Korea, meron Narita, meron Tokyo. But my take here is that it should be privatized already. The management and the operation of NAIA should be privatized. Why? Because there are a lot of pilferage. It is highly politicized. We didn't just have the technical know-how in operating an airport, and we do not have that professionalism in the bureaucracy. I think if we entice a lot of private sectors here, the operation and management and supervision of NAIA will be professionalized. And if that would be the case, there will also be an infusion of capital expenditure that is very necessary, no, to come out with a world-class international airport. Unlike now, we have to source it out to Congress, and it would take a lot of time. If we privatize it, I think maganda. This has been happening in Cebu. I think there's Changi and Doha, 2 of the best international airports are also run semi-privately in their country. So it would help if we privatize this.
Sir, will you seek for a probe into this airport nest that we had over the weekend?
I think Congressman Cesar Sarmiento has already come up with a date that would investigate
September 5.
this thing. it would fall under his help.
But that's definitely pilot's error. Definitely pilot's error, yeah. Pag nag-overshoot ka, that's pilot's error.
Go ahead, RT.
Sir, may we get your comment dun sa sinabi ni Joma Season on Facebook about the President's health? He's claiming that na-coma daw the other night and sa manner what basically, that's what he's saying on his Facebook. What is your response to Joma Season?
Joma?
Yeah.
He must have dreamt that night. Baka na nag-iinip si Joma. And then to him, his dream was just like reality.
He must be talking about a different president.
Yeah.
Or talking about a different country.
Do you think the President should discuss his health?
I think the president should not even discuss about those things.
But doesn't he have an obligation to be transparent about his health?
The Constitution says.
Yeah, the Constitution says, so if there's nothing to discuss about his health, what is there to discuss? You invite him, he goes. So, ano sabihin ni Digong, oh, I'm healthy, I'm not healthy today. No president will do that.
Sir, are you going to file a resolution to investigate what happened in Lincoln here?
I think Congressman Sarmiento of the Committee on Transportation will investigate it motu proprio on September 5.
Okay, no more? Okay. Let's now thank our guests.
So, RG, it doesn't have to dignify that. It doesn't have to dignify. Hindi rin mo alam pa niya. Doon siya sa
Kasi
level.
makatansyan mo. Kung nga tayo dito sa Pilipinas,
Hindi natin alam.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.